Paula's going through it. Woo, let's go.
I know, because I'm like, I literally want to punch you in the face right now, but I know that you've got me, and I know that you're excited. Yeah, you know what this is.
Because you know what's going to come at the end of it. Yeah.
But also, fuck you at the same time.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
Wow, Rose!
Hey,
hello, Shonah.
Hey, girlfriend.
This is
what up,
vibe.
sister? What up, sister?
We're just like, feeling a bit random today. Feeling a little bit, I'm liking this. I want to hold my microphone closer to my face for this. I feel important.
This was, we kind of need to do this until we get our new get up. I can't wait for our new get up. Mm-hmm.
If any podcast listeners out there know stuff about podcasts, get up and want to help a sister out, a couple of sisters out. I do have a microphone and earphone situation. I'm not using it today because the Wi-Fi situation in our house has just decided to like randomly just stop working. So I have to be on phone data, which means I'm back on my phone and not on my computer. And and
Bluetoothing was too slow.
So we're still trying to figure out the best way where two remote people can do their podcast and have epic sound and epic visuals at the same time.
Yes, like we're in the booth together.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi at the moment is really messing with my head. I'm finding it better on phone data. So there's
maybe phone for now until your next chapter with where you're going to be.
That's true. We are moving house soon.
That's very nice. I love it when you put it close.
It sounds really nice when you put it close, doesn't it?
It actually does.
It's more intimate. Okay.
I feel like we're both in a bit of wild mode or something today. We're just a little bit
We're both
random.
in like rando mode. This is the rando podcast. But you know what I'm actually really digging right now is like the teeny tiny little microphones that you see some of the people do their reels and the TikTokers and stuff use. Sometimes they've got teeny tiny little microphone. I haven't taken much notice. Cool thing to do right now. I want one.
Oh, really?
Okay. And you hold
Show me. Send me a reel that's got it because I get down the reel rabbit hole. I love them. I love it. That's my time out. That's when I want to laugh and because people are so fun. God, they're fun. I love it.
I do love people. I think people are amazing. And I love the whole concept of reels because I feel like reels and like TikTok is like my personality. Just like a whole bunch of random stuff, laughing at myself. Doesn't really make much sense most of the time.
Nah, same.
And it's just cool tunes and a weird outlook on life.
Cool tunes is now my Spotify playlist. And it's funny because sometimes I'll go, oh my God, Simon, look at this. And I play the reel for him and he's just looking at me going, yeah. And I'm busting my guts, right? I'm like laughing my head off. I don't know. You must have to be in the zone or something. I don't know.
I know, right? Oh, hang on. Yes. I'm recording now, bud. He's got a fake spider that he likes to scare me with. Now's not the time, though. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right.
Good work. That was good. That was good.
Okay, now we were interrupted. I don't know where we were. But let's start off with the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this can be physical, mental, emotional. What is the hardest thing you've ever done?
Oh,
Shonah Lee. Yeah. Maybe then other than childbirth, because we've both done that.
Oh yeah, that was difficult.
That is difficult.
It's on the scale there somewhere.
It's cut up there, but other than that,
other than getting my son through his whole childhood to cut his toenails, that was painful. Ooh. But other than that,
our kids are random with the stuff. Like,
oh God, why do they make it so freaking hard? Like, Just like it's going to be like 1 minute and your toenails are done. It's easy, like done. Not walking around like Morticia with your, you know, catching your toenails on the carpet and falling like a budgie. Like,
budgie feet.
Have you ever seen a budgie crawl like walk on carpet and they catch in the loops and they go dunk? So that was like bloody Harry. Oh man, that was hard work. That was hard work. But anyway, other than that, the hardest thing, I don't even know if I want to say it now because I'm in a laughing mood. This might bring the whole thing down. No, I'll say it.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me in my whole entire life was separating from my kid's dad. Not that part, because that was the best thing I've ever done. And for my kids as well. But the hardest part was facing and doing life that my kids were growing up from here on out. and I'm only going to be there for 50% of it. That, you know, shared care, that's painful stuff. That was really, really hard. And even though that was hard to do and to go, you know, should I just stay so that until they're 18? But it was the best thing. It was the best thing I ever did. But at the time, it's something really hard to face. It's like, do I go this way or do I go that way? It was painful to go the way I did, but we're all better for it. We are all better for it. And I have the most amazing relationship with my children. And they, you know, Indy, like I was telling you yesterday, like Indy's like texts me 100 times a day when she's at her dad's. And we have probably more conversation, to be honest, when she's at her dad's than when she's here and just in a room with the music playing, you know? So it's really interesting because it's about being present, right? It's about being present. So we could be in the same house and not be present with each other. So I have definitely learned that skill and that beautiful. But yeah, that was bloody hard, mate. That was bloody hard because my kids, one was just in high school and one was in primary school still. And that was tough. That was just like freaking the beautiful years and shed care, and I'm going to be there for 50% of it. But yeah, that's probably looking at it from a point of view that was, you know, that breaks your heart as a mum because you want to see them every day. You want to hug them every day. You want to hold their hand every day. But in presence, I was still there. So I don't beat myself up about it. We have the best relationships. But yeah, it's a difficult part. And if there's any, you know, people that are going through that right now or that are listening that have done that or about to make a decision like that, it is tough and I'm feeling for you. But the physical side of it is hard, but being present is absolutely crucial for your relationship, your connection, and how you feel moving forward, like 5 years on, 6 years on, and just not having that regret, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Like it just, I haven't experienced that, but it blows my mind. Like I could not, like even just imagining having to do that. Like, I'm like, that would take so much strength and bravery and like energy to do that at probably a time where you feel like you are running very little on all of those things.
Yeah, definitely. It was survival mode, a lot of it. And the thing is that's coming off the back of actually telling them, sitting them down and saying, hey guys, Dad and I aren't going to be together anymore. And we're going to live in 2 different houses. Like that was, that. I don't even know how I did it, to be honest. I don't know how I did it. It was insanely, it took, courage, bravery. And man, those kids took to it like duck took to water. Like it's Yeah, they were amazing. It was hard the first probably few weeks, but you know, the funny when we told Indy goes like, I'm expecting tears, breakdown, meltdown, right? So I was all geared up, and when we told Indy, she said, do I get a new room? And I go, yes. And she's like, yes, did the fist pump. It wasn't the reaction I was expecting.
How old
but
was
it was
she though?
11. But you know, but the thing is, they were living they were living with their mum and dad, not cool. So
yeah,
you know, they knew. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose after that first few weeks, they both would have gone, this feels like, even though you weren't together, they probably felt that relief and that kind
definitely
a lot of that tension disperse, because it's not in their face and in their field 24/7. So wow. Oh, hats off to you, Sean. You're
thanks,
amazing.
Babe. Thanks, babe. It was pretty tough. But you know what? The funny thing is, you do that, and I'm gonna, you know, I want you to tell me your hard thing, but you do that, and then the littlest thing can pop up in a day. It's like, fuck, this is hard. And it's just like, and why? You know, like trying to teach the kids not to put raw meat with cling wrap on top of other food. Like that. It's just like, it's not fucking hard, guys. How come we the 100th time we don't get it?
You're like, why is this so hard?
It is. And it's just like, oh man. It's funny how the hard things, like, tell me yours. What's the hardest thing that's popping up?
Yeah, this question made me think about things in different sort of ways, because I'm like, well, the thing that's probably affected my life the most was losing my brother. I think that was like, that's still hard. And that was, you know, I was 12 when that happened, so many years ago. And then also like traveling around Australia was hard. Like that was also hard, and that shifted who I was. Like both of those things shifted who I was greatly. And it was a moment actually came up that sort of, there's a story that I'm going to share, and I feel really like a bit of shame around this. I'm like, let's share it, because like, when you do have shame around something, that when you bring it up to the light, like that's when shame sort of starts to disperse, right? So when I was thinking about like the hardest thing I've ever had to do, other than those two things, I was thinking like physically, what is the physical like hardest thing I've ever like pushed my body myself to do physically? And we climbed Mount Kinabalu, which is in Borneo in Southeast Asia, and it's the second highest mountain in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm pretty sure.
I would love to do that.
And I did that back in 2009, I'm pretty sure it was. And so it was pre-kids, all the things. It takes 2 days to climb this mountain. I'm pretty sure from the bottom to the top, to the summit, or from the bottom to the summit, I'm pretty sure it's about 14 kilometers. And we went the long way. There's 2 tracks. Well, we went the long way up and then the shorter way down, which I think it's a difference of about 2 kilometers or something. So I think it's like 14 kilometers up the long way and then 12 kilometers down the other way. Yeah, you sort of climb 3/4 of the way up, and then you camp the night, and then you get up super, super early, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you climb the summit and watch the sunrise at the summit. And then you spend the day like just walking all the way back down. So it's like
beautiful.
a 2-day thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's like a once in a lifetime sort of opportunity. And like physically, it was like, I think it's the hardest like climb I've ever had to do. Cause like you think about it, you're like 14 Ks. I can do that. That's easy. That's not that far. But like
on a flat surface.
On a flat surface. Like this was like, you know, we were scaling the rock with ropes towards the top.
Oh, really?
We were like, there was most of it wasn't paved or anything like that. It's obviously a mountain in the middle of Southeast Asia, but there were parts where they built steps. Yeah. And the steps were vertical. It's pretty much climbing a ladder. And
the
like you
steps
go
are right
up
at your face.
right at your face, and you're like on the
Yep.
edge of this cliff,
Oh,
and
wow.
like you walk, you'll do like, there'll be like a set of like, I don't know, 30 steps, for example, or 50 steps. And you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a lot of steps. All right, let's do this. You gear yourself up and you get up there. You finally get to the top, and then you get to the top and you turn around. You're like, oh, there's another set. And then you do another. Like,
Yay.
oh, there's another set. And then you do that. And then all of a sudden the steps are gone and there's like big boulders you got to climb over and stuff.
Oh,
it's an
wow.
amazing walk and
Yeah.
trek and experience.
Yeah.
And then there's like cabins sort of, I think it's about 3/4 of the way up, and you camp the night and they've got food there and everything. And then you get up super early the next day, and it was pitch black. Obviously, we'd gotten up at like 2 a.m. or something, or 1 a.m. to climb the summit. So you have your head torches on, and you can only really see like a meter in front of you because that's all you can light up with a head torch. And you got to go up with a guide. You can't just do it by yourself in case you die.
Yeah.
And you got to sign waivers and all of the things. When you get obviously to the summit, we took altitude sickness tablets because like the air's really thin up there, and like you move at snail's pace because your breath is so short and because it's so steep as well. So like the last part of it is only a few kilometers, but it takes fucking forever. The day that we did it, we were like, the top of the mountain was inside of this huge storm cloud. So like we're getting towards the top, and you're supposed to be able to see like the whole valley and like the whole, like this beautiful view, and you see the photos of them in the magazines and stuff, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be, and you couldn't see anything. It was gray. You could barely see your hand in front of your face. Like there was rain going sideways. It was like, it was windy as you could barely hear each other.
This is cool.
And we're like, what is going on? And our guide is like, yeah, this is pretty bad.
Oh shit. If he
And we're
said
like,
that.
yeah, we got really close to the top, and because we went there with my family, and so my mum and my mum didn't even bother doing the summit because she was like, I'm out, I'll just stay at the cabin, you guys do it. I don't need to get to the top. I've made it this far. I've ticked my bucket list off. I'm sleeping in, you guys do it. Dad
Fair
made
enough.
it to like the checkpoint. There's a checkpoint up there that you have to sign in and sign out of to make sure everybody goes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Back.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he made it.
wow.
He made it to the checkpoint, and then he was like, yeah, it's too, because he wears glasses, and he was like, my glasses are fogging up. I can barely see anything. He's like, the altitude's getting to me. I'll wait here until you guys get back. And we're like, okay. So it was me and Brendan, my husband, then boyfriend, and my brother. And
not your husband and then your boyfriend. Not two of them.
No.
That's what I said.
My now husband at the time, he was my boyfriend.
It was your boyfriend, yeah. You didn't have two on the go.
No. So we kept walking with our guide. Brennan and I sort of, because you're walking face down looking at like the ground, and there was quite a few people walking up there and back as well, and it was so weird. You couldn't see anything. It was so dark. And you'd see these people as you'd walk past, and you're shuffling along like one foot in front of the other. You're looking down pretty much the whole time. You're like, like trying to breathe, all this sort of stuff, and just in your head the whole time. And like you'd look to the side, and there'd be people sitting down just going, oh, I can't do it. I want to turn back. And you're like,
really?
oh my God, like people are like peeling off like flies.
Wow.
Apparently it, like, to get to the top is like a huge achievement. Like less than 50% of people that try it don't actually get to the top.
Don't get there.
And so we got, my brother and the guide sort of started to fall back a little bit. And Brendan and I, before we knew it, we turned around like, fuck, where are they? We're like, all right, we'll just keep going.
Oh.
And we got literally like 500 meters from the top, and we couldn't see anything. And I started having this like panic attack, and I was like, well, not a panic attack, but I was just like, I can't feel my fingers. I have no fucking idea where I am. I can't see anything. I have no idea where the top is. Like I looked at Brendan, I'm like, I'm out. And he's like, what? We're almost there. I'm like, I'm out. I can't.
Oh, mate.
It's making me cry. It was one of those moments where like I was like, this is just too hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this made me cry. But anyway, so I stopped. And I said, I can't do this. And he's like, it's right there, babe. Just let's do it. Like, come on.
It's taking you to your limit, mate. That's why you're emotional now, because it's you got to a limit that, you know, that was humanly possible for you at that moment. And that's why you're emotional now, because it's full on.
It is. And that, like, I stopped and I said to him, keep going. And he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, you keep going. I'm out. I can't go any further. And like, I turned, like, because at this point, like, we must have been so fucking close to the top. Like, this point, we were like climbing up these giant boulders, and like, I was just, my fingers were frozen. I could barely hold on. Yeah. And like, he was helping me as much as he could. And it's like, you know, when you get in your mind, you're like, no, I'm done. I can't. Like, there's nothing anybody can do. So he ended up kept going, and he got to the top, and the most brilliant thing happened. There was these two dudes at the top taking photos with their phone. And this is 2009. This is like when photos on phones were like really bad. Like, just, they weren't good. Yeah, and they were only just a thing on some phones. And he was like, oh, guys, can you take my photo? Because I had the camera.
Oh, of course he did.
And he was like, guys, can you take my photo? And he's like, this is my email address. And he like spelled out his email address, and they're like, yeah, I got it. Like, they had no way to write it down. So like, or anything. So they're like, yeah, we'll remember. And like a few weeks later, they actually emailed him the photo. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
But then like, by the time it took me to sort of like take a breath and whatever, he had gone up to the summit and come back, and he's like grabbed me. He's like, oh my God, it's just there. And I'm like, no, I'm out. I can't. Like, I couldn't even hear that he was saying it's just there. And so we started walking back, and literally like a minute after we started descending, and like, as soon as I started descending, my whole body just relaxed, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I literally thought I was going to die. That's how much in my head I was.
Yes.
And thinking back, I'm like, you weren't going to die, Paula. Like, no. Seriously. But in saying that, like, I'd lost all feeling in my hands. Like, I couldn't feel anything. I was so numb. Yeah. It was like snowing, raining, like up there. It was like minus whatever degrees. I don't even know. But it was at the top of this mountain. So yeah, and then about a minute later, we saw our guide and my brother, and they're like, thank God we found you. You gotta turn back. It's too dangerous.
Oh, holy shit, girlfriend.
So I was like, well, that was my instinct saying this is actually really dangerous.
Yeah. So survival mode kicked in.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. But I always remember that because it reminds me of, you know, that graphic of like the guy digging for diamonds, and he gives up just before, like,
right at that last bit
kick of the earth. There were all the diamonds there, and he gives up. Like, that always reminds me of it. But it's so powerful because I'm like, that actually reminds me of that. Whenever I get into that, I can't do this, this is too hard.
Yes.
It always reminds me that, like, oh, we're right. Like, we're almost at the summit. We're right there. We're like literally right there. You just can't see it. It was the craziest experience, but I am proud that I actually did, like, of what I did. And there was a massive life lesson in that. But the funniest thing was coming back down the mountain, the clouds started to shift like halfway down the descent sort of thing. And we had climbed and scaled this mountain in pitch black, and we were like climbing up ropes and like, you know, navigating these paths and kind of holding on to the side of this rock, but you couldn't really see anything around us. As we were coming back down, like, you saw the edge of the mountain. I'm like, we fucking climbed up this. I'm like, one like wrong step and we would have been over the edge and down a freaking like
whoa.
And we were like playing on the ropes and kind of like swinging off and mucking around a little bit on the way out. We're like, oh, this is fun. Because like when you start to do it, yeah, like everybody lines up and goes single file. So there's other people doing it too. Yeah. So it's kind of like it goes a bit slow because there's people in front of you, and eventually like people start to fall off and disperse and stuff as you get closer to the top. But like I was like in like shock horror. I was looking at my brother and Brendan. I was like, this is the way we came up. And they're like, yeah, we were like swinging off of that rope before, or like on the way up. And that's like a massive drop. And they didn't even tell us. And I'm like, that's like the difference between, doing something in Southeast Asia and doing something in Australia.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Far out.
And then, I was super proud of myself. But then at the same moment, there's like a little bit of shame there around not actually getting to the summit. But in saying that, our guide was like, the weather was so bad. It's like, we shouldn't have gone that far. And we're like, oh.
Mate, this is the thing. Well, you're alive to tell the story, And far out. To me, hearing that story, you got to the top for me. Like, what I mean? And it's different for you because it's just like something inside of you is just like, damn. But I don't know, babe, like that's a beautiful, amazing story. That lights me up inside. I love adventure like that. I love that pushing past that fear to get somewhere, and it's, you should be really proud of yourself. Because that's huge, massive.
It is huge. And it was physically tough too. Like, after we did that, I remember this was towards the end of our trip there. I think we had like 5 nights or something, or 4 nights after we'd done that at the Shangri-La in Kota Kinabalu, which is like the main part of Borneo. And like, this was like the fanciest place that you could possibly stay at. And like, the rest of the time we were traveling around, staying in like a whole range of different places.
Yeah, beautiful.
And
Had a great experience.
For 2 weeks. And then we climbed the mountain, and then Mum was just like, oh yeah, we're now staying at the Shangri-La for 4 nights just to recover from climbing the mountain. Like, this is our reward for climbing the mountain, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole time I was just lying there, and we pretty much just ordered food and cocktails to the banana lounges next to the pool. Because we couldn't walk. Like, it was so physically hard.
Ouch, yes.
And when you've done a good workout and like, for a day or two, you're a bit sore, but you can still kind of walk. Yeah. Like, I literally could barely walk. Like, I was holding on to things trying to walk because I was so sore, because it was so intense. But like,
it's a good hurt though. I like it.
It was a good hurt. The Pina Coladas were very, very, I've never tasted so good, really.
I bet. Oh, wow. What an experience. I really want to go to Borneo. I really want to go.
And it's so crazy because I'm like, if the weather had been, and this is the beautiful like metaphor that I have this story for, is like, if it had been a beautiful day, I would have seen the summit. I would have known exactly, like, I could have seen the track, how far I had to go, would have been enjoying this view, not freaking out that I couldn't feel my hands, I couldn't see anything. I was in the middle of like a snowstorm up the top of this mountain that I've never been to before, that like our guide was all of a sudden not here, and I don't know where my brother is. Like, that sort of mentality. It was like, if it was, perfect conditions for that, then like I would have done it, no worries. But like, I guess why I wanted to share that story and what we're going to talk about today is like the parallel of that is like, when something feels really, really hard, like it's like that. It's like you can't see the summit. You can't see a meter in front of you. You feel like you're in a freaking snowstorm, and you can't, like, you're numb and you don't know when it's going to end. Yeah. And your survival mode sort of kicks in. And I mean, it happens in so many different circumstances that, and it happens a lot when you're building a business. Like, absolutely, the entrepreneurial world is full of that.
It's so full of that. And there's sometimes on the daily, like, it's crazy, isn't it? And it's because we're always searching for evidence that we're going to make it. We're searching for evidence that it's all going to be okay. We're searching for evidence that when we do something, it's going to be successful. We're always wanting that. But the thing is that we never, ever have a blueprint for ourselves. We can't in this, for where we're going in life, as well as entrepreneurship. There's no blueprint that we can follow to give us that security. It's just not there, is it? It's just not there. So it's really working through the hard stuff, that we can do. We can do it, but it's a thing. Sometimes it's small, sometimes they're big things. It's a bloody ride. Like you and I both know, it's a freaking roller coaster to go through the hard stuff. And, you know, so if somebody else said to me some of the hard stuff that I face, right, in the, you know, building these businesses and, you know, the entrepreneurship, if somebody else said it to me, I'd be like, yeah, no, that's not even a thing. Like, there's no, you know, you can do this. It's fine. It's easy. Like, let's just, you know, da. But you got to know it. You got to know that these things are hard because everyone goes through it. It's not because you're a beginner in it. It's not because you are a newbie. It's not because you're not as evolved as the leaders. It's no, that's bullshit. It's just
it always happens.
It always happens. How many times do we get on, I don't know, whether we're messaging each other or we're on a podcast or it's just before a podcast and we're just like, freaking hell, today's a day. Holy shit, this is hard.
Pretty much. I would dare say that there's more days that we say that than days that we're like, today is all ease and flow and it's amazing. Like everything's just happening for me.
Pass the Pina Colada.
Yeah. Today's a total Pina Colada. It's just the best. But it's so funny because that to me, like that's been the goal. And that is, I hear, is the goal. Like when it gets to be easy and when it's flow and when it gets to be easy and when it gets to be grace all the time, like that's when I know that I've made it. And it's like, no, that happens. Nope. There are days when it feels like that. But most of the time, it feels like you're climbing a freaking mountain and you don't know when you're going to get to the summit, but you're climbing it anyway. For me, this is the biggest like mindset shift that I've had around this whole situation is because for so long I was just like, okay, when is it going to start to feel really easy for me? Like when have I made it, in inverted air bunny quotes around my head right now? Like, when do I know when that happens is when it feels easy all the time. It feels like all of these things. But for me, it's like, it's supposed to feel hard. Like, that's kind of the point because growth is hard. You can't grow without it feeling uncomfortable, without it feeling hard, without it feeling like something you've never experienced before, because then there's no growth. That's just like
that's an experience
staying the same. Yeah, because like we're actually building businesses. There's no like that will always be the case. Like I don't think there's at any point will I feel like I've finished building my business. To me, this is a lifelong thing. It's like a continuous evolution. Like some people might have a business that they're going, okay, I'm going to build it to this point, and then that's when I know that I'm done, and then, you know, I'm going to hand it off, and then I can sit back and, you know, like sip pina coladas. Like that is a goal for some people, but for me, it's like that's not the goal.
The building
is the goal, because I want a life that's full of growth, that's full of new experiences, that's full of like all of those things. And it was like
it's
this
a
big
hit.
Yeah, it was kind of like this big, like I blew my own mind when I kind of got to that realization, because I was like, oh, then why am I placing so much emphasis on it feeling like flow and ease and grace, and being like, but then I'm not growing. Then it's
boring.
Not building anymore. It's stopped. It's like at the end.
Yeah. I know. And that, yes.
I don't ever want to get to the end.
Fuck but yes, so because it's just like, if you ever watched bloody Finding Nemo and the fish escape at the end and they're all in their little plastic things bobbing on the sea and they go, now what? Like, you know, this is the thing. I don't want to get to the point where it's like, now what? Even in my relationship, I don't want you get to the beautiful marriage and you've made it and there's no more growing to do. I don't want to get to that. I love this growing bit. I love it. And same with the business. And I'm so with you on that. And the building is the operative word for this, because it's an adrenaline hit. It's just, the hard decisions that you make, you have all these options and one choice, and you make that decision. It's empowering. That's what life's about, isn't it? It's just, this is, and it could be as simple as I can't do a live today, or it can be really hard, as in I'm absolutely changing my identity. I'm changing the direction of where this business is going. And that's hard too.
One of the things that I've noticed is that there's also patterns in like what the hardness is as well. Like there'll be things that come up again and again and again and again. And it feels like Groundhog Day. It feels like, oh my God, I thought I had gotten past this. Why is this showing up again? Yes. And it was like, every time I'm like, oh, well, I mustn't have done a great job of, working on my beliefs or reprogramming that part or shifting from that part or elevating from that part. But what I've realized is that you're always going to have like these themes come through in your fears and in your beliefs, because every time you expand, it's like the next layer of that. It kind of like brings out more depth to what that is. And I know for me, like one of the biggest things that keeps coming up and again and again and again is like this belief in myself. And
that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's self-belief. It's like, how do I, at this level that I've made myself to now, how do I back myself? How do I fully believe in what I do and how I do it and have it be at this level? And then you kind of work through that, and it gets to a place where you're like, yay, now it feels like flow and it feels great and it feels easy. And yeah, I'm really digging this. And then you take the next step. And it opens it all up again. And then it feels hard and it feels like, I don't know if I can do this. And it opens that part of you up even deeper. And it's like, oh, how do I then like have this, work with this belief at this depth, at this level of it, because we've gone even further.
It's interesting. Like, no. This is really good. This is really good. Like this, it's the whole self-belief thing, because, and it is getting to that next level and facing those again. But sometimes it's when you sit back and you go, oh, it's been flowy and graceful, and let's pass me that pina colada. It's like, oh, did I really make it? Or the self-doubt comes in, right?
Yes.
That's when it's just like, oh, is this, I don't know now,
it was feeling good. No, it's not.
It's not feeling good anymore. So why? And it's just, then there's sabotage and all the things that we come up against. But when we get to this hard stuff, right, and we feel like, oh, damn, it's here again, like I should be past this by now, is when we go, okay, I am not leader quality. I can't be like the millionaire leaders. I can't be like the successful leaders that are helping thousands of women. I can't be, I just don't have that leader quality, because all this hard shit happens to me. That keeps coming up. And it's just like, if only you knew that this comes up for all of those, the most successful.
It's so
people.
Normal. You think that you're not normal, but it's like the most normal thing to happen when you're doing this stuff. And it's not until you get yourself immersed into, like, I wouldn't know that this was actually normal unless I, was a part of a mastermind, unless I got into a point where I'm in my business and I'm working with other people, and I've gotten to a point where I, really open up and have gone deep with a coach and with a mentor, and surrounded myself with people that I fully lean into and trust and open up to. And it's, if you try to do this on your own, so to speak, for so long, you do get all in your head, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why is it happening for everybody else and not me? But it's like, it happens for everybody.
It does. And absolutely.
I know some people share this, but I feel like it doesn't get shared enough about what actually happens in these parts, because this is what I do naturally. and I want to do a better job of sharing more of it. But what I do naturally is like, I feel like I have a responsibility for my work and for the people that, you know, I'm here for, because I get told so much that people love my energy. They come to me for an energy boost. They're like, you're a vibe, and I love being in your vibe and all these things. So I feel like that's my responsibility. That's a big part of like my work is to gift that to people, and I absolutely love doing that. So I feel like I can share things like this, but it's not really helpful for me to come at the internet and being all like mad about it when it's so raw.
Yes. While you're
like,
in it.
This is stuff. Yeah. And this is stuff that, you know, this is why working with a mentor or coach is such a brilliant thing, because this is what they're there for. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't even do anything, and I don't know what I say. It's all falling apart. I'm not even that good anyway. Nobody fucking cares. I don't care. What's wrong? Like that, the hot mess.
Yeah.
Like, because if we all came at the
that was me
internet like
yesterday.
that, people would be just like, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, I've got so much more respect for people like building all kinds of businesses and brands and things. And because it takes a lot of mental, of like that mental psyche.
Yeah, it does
to be able to do that. But yeah, but at the same time, it's like I hear people talking about it, but you kind of like, I mean, you're not, this is the thing, right? I'm not on the internet when I'm feeling like that in order to be able to hear from other people that it feels like that. I usually am like, oh, I can't deal with stuff right now. I just need a breather. I need a moment. I take a step away. I take care of myself. I do the things like now I don't freak out about it. I used to a lot because I know what's happening, and I do my thing. And then I come back out and I share and, you know, support and all of those things. But it's like you can, when you're in a state of like, it feels flowy and it feels good and it feels amazing and stuff, and people are like, yeah, it's hard. You're like, oh yeah, but you can do it. Like, it kind of hits differently.
It does.
So when people say, don't believe everything on like the social medias, I truly believe that. Like, you don't believe everything that's on the social medias as the whole truth. It's not. It's not the whole supposed truth to be either.
No.
So it's not anybody else's responsibility, but it is kind of, I don't know how to explain this. It is our own responsibility to be truthful in what it takes. I don't know how to articulate myself. Like, it is our responsibility to be truthful with our own journeys. Like,
yes.
If that is what we are, bless you.
Thank you.
If that is what we're here to do,
if
we're here to support other people in doing this, like, it is our responsibility to be, you know, truthful and not actually make it seem like it's something that it's not. But at the same time, there's also,
but you get to do that, right?
We get to do that. And I feel like I don't like sharing stuff from a deep wound that is open. It's kind of like not as helpful, or it's, I don't know. I find that once I have hindsight on something, it's much easier for me to be able to go, yeah, this happens and this is like, and now I know how to help.
Absolutely. Like, it's like being a wounded anything. Like, maybe you're a BMX rider and you've had a big stack, and you're also a coach of the team, the BMX team, and you've had a big stack, and you know, and you're trying to coach them, but your leg's broken, right? And you're trying to get them out on the bike. It's like you need to heal that first before you can show them the next trick, or to show them how, and it's powerful because you show them that you've healed, but what you did to do that healing, and now you have the strength and a full body. I don't know. You're good to hold space for that person that's going through that. You can't hold space when you're healing yourself, when you're in it yourself, when you're very raw and vulnerable yourself. And so it's kind of, it's really about that. And even if it was just last week, you did that. Even if it was just as raw as last week, you still got through that other side, and you have the power to be able to help through that. And I think that's what you and I both do with our clients as well, is that And that's why we know what this feels like, because we've been
Yeah.
through it. We've been through this multiple times, hundreds, thousands of times. We've been through this. So we know what it's like. And so when they come to us and they've been through it, it's just like, we got you. We know, we know this. We've got you.
Yeah. 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 So much.
Yeah. Do you know what? I just had a big download before.
Yeah.
You weren't meant to make the summit, I don't think. Because you might have, I feel like you would have had that now what moment.
Maybe.
You like the climb.
I do like the climb. It was and it charges me when I think about it too, because I'm like, oh, why didn't I just like do the extra bit? But that actually reminds me now, while I'm building my business and working, like doing this work, I remember that moment. I'm like, just keep going. The breakthrough's almost there. I think it was such a valuable thing for me to experience, and to be kind of agitated with myself and frustrated and have that regret, because I'm like, I don't want to have that anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%, as much as it sucks. But like, sometimes we need those moments. But this is the thing, right? The more that you do these sorts of things, these really hard things, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, mentally, it reminds you that the next time you're faced with something that feels really hard, is like that you can do it. You're like, well, you know, I climbed a mountain when I could have died. And I did that, you know. I left a situation that wasn't serving myself or my family. And look where you are now.
Oh, mate. I can't. Yeah. It's nuts.
I know. And even with like where we are now compared to like where we both started with our businesses, for example, it's like, think about like all those moments. And I had so many moments where I was like, I'm done. I quit. I cannot do this. This is too freaking hard. It's like tearing my insides apart. That this is happening. It feels painful. Just the rebirthing, the continual rebirthing. You're like, how many more times can I rebirth myself? Yeah. But it's like, there's always first biggest one. Like, I remember the one that I had earlier on when I was building my brand, that I was just like, I'm done. I quit. I can't anymore. I'm like physically, mentally, spiritually exhausted right now. I don't want to do this anymore. It feels too hard. I'm not cut out for this. I'm not the person for this, blah, 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 blah. Had all these excuses running through my head as to like why I should quit and why I wasn't good enough and all of the things. But there was still something inside of me that was just like, you don't quit.
Exactly.
Like, there was this whisper, like, and I remember it because, you know, I was, even back then I was coaching with Jana, and I was on the phone to her, my mentor, Jana Kingsford, and I was like, I quit. I'm done. I can't do this. I was in tears. And I remember the thing that she said to me, she's like, it's okay. You can quit. I still love you. And that, as soon as she said that, I was like, yeah, I don't quit though.
I'm not doing it.
I was like, this is it. It reminded me of that moment on the mountain. I was like, yeah, but like the summit is almost here. I can feel like my soul is like, no, you don't quit. Like, let's keep going. And even though like my whole body was just like, no, we're done. I can't even. And like soon after that, everything started to like flow, and everything just started to click, and everything just started to happen and to move at lightning speed. And then, you know what happened? Like, I don't know, probably a few weeks after that, it all started to feel hard again.
Exactly. We're on a high, and then there's a big come down, and it's a boom. Shit. But exactly.
The more that you do this, like at the beginning, it feels like this huge roller coaster ride, right? And now it still feels like you're on the roller coaster, but it doesn't feel as dramatic because you know that it's coming. But at the same time, it's this weird, like it feels like you're in a parallel universe almost, because it's like you don't freak out as much because you know what it is. but the highs seem higher and the lows actually seem lower.
Yeah.
But it's this weird thing that you kind of like, yeah, but I know that I've got this. Like
Exactly.
it's
we know
like
that
it's
high's coming.
Yeah, but it stretches you beyond that comfort zone each time. Like that's the growth. Because sometimes they just feel like little niggly things, but then other times, like when it's like a big thing,
well,
if
sorry, I didn't mean to interject there, but if you're on the same roller coaster and you go on that ride every single time, you're just going to desensitize. And so it's a beautiful ride. It's an absolutely beautiful ride, and it does feel hard. And that's where it's beautiful to have that support system around you, whether you're in a mastermind, in people that actually get the ride. Put yourself there, put yourself with these people, because you're definitely held. You are definitely held in that moment, and you also move through a little bit quicker. Trying to do it on your own is just extremely painful and really hard. And I did that for like 3 years, trying to do it on my own, and far out. My needle moved just like ever so slightly. Once you're in that support system and you have a coach or you have a mentor, and you have a sisterhood in a mastermind or a group or a program that you're in, or find whatever support system you have, but it just goes like that. It does,
because sometimes they can catch it for you before you actually realize you're heading in that direction too, because you'll be like, oh, it's fine, this just happened, and now this is feeling a little bit off, and they're like, oh, and it's kind of like you get excited for each other, because you're like, haha, it's happening, it's coming, something amazing is about, and you're like, but now it's really, I see, it's getting painful again. There it is. Okay.
It's funny that we get a little bit sadistic, don't we? It's just like, Paula's going through it. Woo, let's go.
I know, because I'm like, I literally want to punch you in the face right now, but I know that you've got me, and I know that you're excited. Yeah, you know what this is.
Because you know what's going to come at the end of it. Yeah,
but also fuck you at the same time.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
But then you also know, you're like, yeah, next week this is going to be you, and I'm going to be like the one going, you've got this, babe. I've got
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh, fuck, I love you. You're amazing.
I love you too. This is the best.
It is the best.
So the point of this podcast episode was that it's been really freaking hard lately.
Yeah,
for both of us.
It has.
And we wanted to just share that it is.
We do. And do you know what? The hardest sticky point right now is getting this freaking sound right for this podcast. And we're just like, this is hard. But we're doing it. What you said yesterday, let's keep going. And
we're doing it.
And that, if you take nothing else away, is just keep going.
Just keep going. You got it. Boom.
Oh, boom, Tish, boom. Okay.
So that is our podcast episode. Subscribe and download and share this with your friends.
Yes, absolutely. Because the sound is going to get better. The sound is going to get better, and it's fun. And it's the best.
If you do have any tips for us, please send us a PM.
Oh yeah.
Because we feel like half the time we're like kind of like a dead fish like flopping around. Okay, Sean's gone.
Oh,
all right.
No, I'm not. I'm here. Freaking hell. Oh my God.
Right,
okay, that's a sign. We gotta go.
Bye.
Bye.
Wild Rose! Wild Rose! Wild Rose!
Wow.